You are watching DelmarvaLife, and we're starting today's opioid awareness episode by setting up a situation. You and everyone in your life are on a boat, healthy, happy, safe, and secure. But as the boat floats down the river, some people fall overboard and into danger.
Those are the people in your life who are struggling with addiction. So the question is, what do you do?
A lot of our work in the past would be to shout at the person who's fallen off the boat saying, hey, get back on the boat, swim as hard as you can, don't drown. But all of a sudden, we looked around and we said, but there's a whole boat full of healthy, happy people who could maybe throw the rope back in or the life raft. And then what prevention is really about, and what we're trying to do with My Reason Why, is actually catch people before they fall.
Catch people before they fall? But how would you do that?
Well, our first guest today has an idea. This is Scot Michel. He is the CEO of Cause the World. Scott, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, for the opportunity to speak today.
Yeah. So we just watched a clip, and it's the boat metaphor. Can you tell us how it ends?
How the boat metaphor ends?
Yeah.
Well, the real issue with the boat metaphor, and the thing that we're trying to get across with this, is to have everybody understand that everybody has a role to play in this opioid and actually the substance abuse world,
right?
Whether you know someone or not. And so what the boat theory does tell us is that if you are safe and sound, maybe you could start to learn the symbols or signs of someone who might be starting to dabble into the signs of addiction. Or maybe we can use whatever we do in our lives to help build those barriers for people to not fall off the boat. There's a lot of different ways that all of us can understand our own role in keeping people safe on the boat. That's basically what that was about.
Okay, so now you came up with this idea because you've lived it. How so? Explain.
Well, I'm a recovering alcoholic. Just crossed 12 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you very, very much. So I was an alcoholic, and I, just like many people who are experiencing addiction, was feeling shame, embarrassment. I didn't want anybody to know. And so suffered for many, many years without reaching out for help. As a matter of fact, I knew I needed to get help, and it was about 8 years after that when I finally put down the bottle. But what happened was, along that path, I was once on Facebook, and a friend of mine posted something saying, 5 years alcohol-free. And I was like, oh wow, that's impressive. And immediately I saw myself in it. I want to be alcohol-free. And then what happened was, all of a sudden I look at Facebook and she's just saying 6 years alcohol-free. And I was like, that was a year? A year of my life has passed and I'm not kidding, it was when she put 8 years. So this was 3 years after I had seen her start to post, where time has just flown by and I know I'm in trouble. So what I did is I finally, at that point, I just texted her. I just said, hey, I saw that you have stopped drinking. Tell me what that was all about. So I made a promise to myself that once I was, in the safe and sound, I would, what this woman did, put my story out there in case there was anyone out there who else needed to see it. And so right before this happened, I was very, very nervous. I had about a year under my belt of not drinking, and I'm about to put this post on Facebook when all of a sudden I realized that I have some very important people on my Facebook. Employers of mine, people in the community who might have to do, because I do work with children, who might say, we don't want someone who works with children to have, who we're not sure about. So I just all of a sudden thought to myself, and this is what I'm hoping to express to the audience, I just said, this is my truth. And they're going to accept me with it or not, and if they don't, I have to work on that, but this is who I am, and it has to be put out. So I put that post out. About a month later, literally one of the people that I was most worried about came and pulled me aside. They said, Scott, I want to talk about this post on social media. And I said, which one was it? Because I'm always posting positive stuff. They said, the alcohol one. My stomach dropped. She pulled me aside and she said, I just want you to know that when we saw that, it was a red flag to me that my husband has a drinking problem. I shared the post with him. He has since stopped drinking. I realized I also am a problem drinker. I have stopped bringing alcohol in the house to prevent him. She thanked me. So the lesson here was the one person that I was most afraid to hear this truth about my suffering literally was the one who thanked me for having it happen. And from that moment on, I realized that the struggles that we have, they want to remain in secret because they thrive there.
Yeah.
But if we all share our struggles together, there's so many resources right available. And of course, when I told people I have a drinking problem, everyone was like, oh, yeah, we know. It wasn't a surprise to anybody. But now I didn't have to have the shame in dealing with it.
You were different.
Yeah. So how can our viewers get involved with your mission?
Well, our mission at The Cause, it stands for Collective Action, so Together in Action, Urging Social Evolution. What we are really about is we take Maya Angelou's idea that when you know better, you can do better, and we just add to it and then immediately tell the people around you to do better. So if I was talking to the viewers at home, there would be three things that I want them to know. The first is what we've already talked about. Everybody has a role in helping people and helping this, whether you know someone who is actively addicted or not. And chances are you probably do, whether you know or not. Statistically, you probably do. So just know that you have a role. The second thing in that role is we have to destigmatize addiction. So just like me, I was nervous, and so I suffered for many more years, which means also everyone around me suffered, my family, my children. So as long as I'm suffering, everyone around me suffers. So we have to destigmatize that this is a health issue. No one grows up saying, I want to become an addict. And once you understand that, can we have the compassion to open our ears and listen to say, hey, let me hear what you're up. So with that destigmatization also says, be a compassionate, open-hearted person. And then the third thing is use your natural power of influence. All of us have power of influence, whether it's talking to your friends at the dinner table, at work, but also on social media. Everyone can share memes of cats doing all sorts of things. If we can take, one of our 20 posts to just put out something, hey, I'm curious about addictions. I'm very optimistic that we can get through this, but what we need to do is realize our power and our responsibility and enjoy it.
Yes. Here is a man who is motivated.
Oh yeah, and
Wow.
I think he's motivated me too.
Yeah.
Scot Michel, thank you so much. He's the CEO of Cause the World.
Thank you so much for
Wonderful
having me.
talking to you.